Good morning, everybody. Tuesday, May the 6th. May the 6th. Welcome. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. That'd be me. That'd be me. And as usual, my friends, drink it if you got it. And the coffee cup this morning. Trying to use my right hand here to lower the volume. Terrific. The coffee cup this morning is the one I showed you the other day. The one that sat in my post office box for 2 months. Came from Robert Warist, and I love it. If at first you don't succeed, try doing what Mitch told you to do in the first place. I love it. I love it. Well, today, my friends, is the last day. The last day of my 78th year on the planet. And that's how it works. When you celebrate your 78th birthday, you have completed 78 full years. So how old are you really when you say you're 78? My 79th year on the planet starts tomorrow at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on May the 7th. So there's always a little confusion about that when you ask somebody how old you are. I could say today I'm 77 if I wanted to sound younger, because I haven't reached my 78th birthday quite yet. Even though I've been celebrating and living my 78th year for an entire year now. Depends on whether you want to sound older or younger than you are. Sometimes age is something to be proud of. And if you're happy with yourself, happy with your health and shape you're in and your life, you don't mind getting older, because you don't need to capitalize on youth to get you what you want anymore, especially in the dating arena. So, May the 6th today, we have a birthday girl in the house, Erin Booby Goats. I don't want to ask you how old you are, but you got to be older than like 22 with 10 kids. So welcome to you and happy birthday. Everybody wish Erin a happy birthday today. My daughter's birthday was 2 days ago. My birthday is tomorrow. And don't forget everybody to come to my birthday party tomorrow night. 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be inviting people, anybody who wants, basically, at some point, to come in, wish me a happy birthday, introduce yourself to all the people that will hopefully be watching and celebrating this monumental birthday along with me. And especially after the stroke and all the stuff I've been going through in the last couple of months, I suppose this might have been a little iffy that I even made it at all. But the planets aligned, everything came together, everything's working out. I'm recovering. I still got a way to go, especially in the walking department and balance. I can walk some with no support, but I don't trust myself, my balance, or my right leg yet enough to wander off out somewhere where there's no support and it wouldn't be good to fall. But I am getting better every day, and every morning I try to walk a little more without any support. As long as there's something nearby, it gives me the confidence to know I could grab it if I felt myself losing my balance. But I can say, I guess it's a rapid recovery, but does get a little better every day. And I'm convinced that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes for the brain to reconnect to the different muscles that are there, one cell at a time, like a wound healing. Yesterday, I put out the video showing my little project, hanging the paper towel hanger, which by itself seems like it will be nothing. But the fact that I was able to use my right hand, not only to hold the drill, but to actually use it and hold it up for that length of time, which is where the problem was. The problem was never the strength in my grip, my triceps, my ability to push with that arm. It's always been in the strength of the shoulder to lift it up and keep it up there for the length of time. And that is getting better, along with reaching over my head too. Getting better every day a little bit more. One of the tests that I've been doing for myself, and I'll show you here, is can I reach up and hit the right button on the mixer that I want to hit? Can I work the volume sliders? And that is getting better. Not there yet, but I tried the mouse the other day. I could move it around. I could press the button, but to tell you the truth, to keep that little pointer pointing where I wanted it to point was very, very tiring. Look at all the people coming in. The view counter says 66 people. That's not a lot for the morning, but I think it'll pick up as we go. It is Tuesday morning. It is what it is. I'm afraid that so many of my viewers just are getting tired of hearing about or watching my recovery. The novelty of it has worn off. I think I need to start exploring carnivore topics, and start focusing on them again, even though my life is completely dominated by recovery and these efforts. And it's a double-edged sword. I have to spend my time concentrating on therapy, on doing those things that I think will speed up my recovery, on eating correctly. I have got a little news on the ice cream front this morning. Mea culpa, my friends. I am proof that even the best of us does not have control over addictions of any kind. If you have that addictive a makeup like I do when it comes to eating. So I thought I maybe could handle a little bit of ice cream each day. It's a hell of a trigger, and it just brings back habits which I had long since abandoned, and I am going to abandon them again. So I am back. After a month of experimenting with adding in some carbs and things like that, I am back to strict carnivore again. 2 meals a day, no eating anything, no eating anything after 4, 5 at the latest, eating only 0 carb foods, nothing that resembles a treat, a reward, a snack. If it isn't a meal, I won't do it. That worked well for me for 2.5 years. I started basically yesterday, and I don't know if it's a coincidence. I feel much better, more aware, awake, more energetic this morning. I really think that any kind of sugar just screws me up. That ice cream mix is half milk. In the milk, there's sugar. You put a little vanilla bean paste in it, there's sugar in that. So even a few carbs, a few grams, what a difference. And since I put out that video the other day about, do I really have to give up carbs for life? Got a lot of comments from you all, a lot of comments reinforcing what I've discovered on my own. People tell me, well, I was carnivore for a year, then cheated. Took me a month to get over it. Well, I'm here to tell you, once you get off that wagon, it's a big climb back on. And I think that didn't take long for me to readapt to fat. I had a little bit of cravings last night, but I fought them off. And I'll let you know how many days it takes me to get back to the same situation I had before I went in the hospital. And that is, don't think about carbs, don't think about sweet tasting things, don't want them. Food is relegated back again to the level of importance it was for subsistence only, and not any pleasure component attached. That's the key. When the food starts to be a source of reward and pleasure for you, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And I got in trouble. And in a way, it's my fault, but I'm not superhuman when it comes to controlling what nature is trying to get me to do. I'm like any other animal on the planet. I'm subject to the emotions. I'm subject to the cravings. At first, I was ashamed of myself, but then I went back and listened to a couple of my old videos, how to start it, first, what to do for the first 30 days. And it convinced me, no, I shouldn't feel guilty. I'm just normal. That's the way we're built. That's the way we're programmed. Some of us have it at different levels than others and are able to fight the urges. That is no indication of anybody being a better person. It's just organically, they're built a little different, programmed a little different than we are. Evidently, in my past, most of my ancestors must have suffered through many famines and elevated sugar intake to an important level of survival. A lot of people haven't, their ancestry haven't gone through that, and their programming doesn't reflect that. In that case, we're all a little different. Unfortunately, after so many years of carb addiction, most of us are wild carb addicts, which accounts for the fact that every store out there, every convenience store, even the office supply stores, all have rows of candy, sodas, pastries, snacks, ice cream in the freezers. They wouldn't have all that and devote all that retail space to that if nobody was buying it. And everybody who's eating that crap at some level has got to know it's not good for them, especially when they can't button their pants. I put on about 5 pounds. And of course, it's all in my belly. 5 pounds that I didn't have for the past 2.5 years, because for a few short weeks, I gave in to my cravings and my addiction. And I'm sorry. I put a stop to it before it got out of hand. Okay, enough about that. Before I bore all of you to tears, let me say good morning. Let me say good morning to all of you, and let's see who was here first, and I will try to do this without dumping out. If I disappear, hang in there. It'll take me a minute or two to get back. First in yesterday at about 7 o'clock when I put the video up live is Mike Seeley, who's celebrating or reaffirming his marital vows tomorrow in the Philippine Islands on May the 7th, on my birthday. Congratulations, Mike. And Lori was here last night. Mike Seeley wished me a happy birthday. Smoothie 420 was here at 7:30. Mandy Meadows. Everybody getting in the birthday wishing spirit. I like that. Cliff Mendita said, hi, Mitch. Northwest Trains, happy birthday. Patty Bolden, happy birthday. Furrow Grandma was here. Furrow Grandma about. Time was that? 10:30 last night. Lady June over in England. Was early morning for her. Early morning. Gemma was here. Loved your videos, going to bed. Okay, we'll see you when you get back here in the morning. And Rick, quack from Miami this morning. And Gemma at 7:35. Meet Tues is here. Fro Grandma got back this morning. Sandy Blythe is here. Wayne Herman from Lake Gaston, North Carolina. Kathy, Florida. She likes my organized workshop. That little tiny room I have back there in my screen porch. That is probably one of the greatest examples that I know of my ability to cram 10 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag. There is not an inch of space left in that little room. But it works pretty good. I do not spend a lot of time in there. Richard Williams, good morning. I chimed in here. Lori chimed in. Captain America, how you doing? Steve Rogers from Kansas City, Missouri. Good to see you. Harry Dion said good morning. Tammy Bitarch is here. Aaron chimed in. Happy birthday at 9:21. And we're sneaking up on the opening. Couch Potato was here. Retired. Rick. Harry Dion says, happy birthday, Mitch. You're glad I'm still with you. Yes, I am glad I'm with you as well. No, you're correct. No cupcakes or donuts. I mean, if you have to have them, bring them with you, because at this party, it's a meat fest. Sorry. Charles Faircloth says good morning, and at 9:29. Chris Wayne from Down Under and Booby Goats. Everybody's hitting the button. Cliff Medina hit the button. And the winner again. Wow. Retired Rick, good morning to you and congratulations. You've got the timing of that down pat. You must be watching the second and know exactly what the delay is in your system. I think you did it yesterday too. Retired Rick, the one to beat. Lady June got it at 9:30. Thomas, Target Prime, Rib, Sandy Blythe, Jiffy, Don Shonger, still at 9:30. Tanya, Kitchen Witch, good morning. Lori got here at 9:32. Susanna Lydell, good morning. Great to visit you. Welcome. Welcome, Susanna. And again at 9:30, Booby. Graceful Lily says, good morning, Mitch and my fellow Mitch Fits, also at 9:30. A lot of people diving on that bell at 9:30. Lori, Booby. Retired Rick was the first to get 9:31. Followed closely by Tuka and Tanya again. Sandy again. Tabby again. Good morning, Bob Black. How you doing? How you doing? Listen, if you got questions for me, put a QQQ in front of them. I usually get through them all, usually find them all. Doesn't have to be a question. If you want to make a comment that you think would be interesting to talk about, put the Q's in there. I'll read it. We'll see if it sparks a conversation. So, all right, we got through that. Took 20 minutes. I've been up since 5 o'clock, as usual. The day is half over for me already. Noticed a pattern about using up what energy I got while I was asleep. I always have a better balance, better movement, more energy, better speech. My limbs feel lighter before noon. And then from noon till in the evening, it's kind of like a gradual tiring. And it's something that probably happens to all of us, but is more pronounced. You notice it more recovering like this. You notice my right arm and my right leg, you notice it getting heavy, and it's strange. It's strange. And it happens almost every day, and has since I started recovering. At least in the morning, I can see the improvements that I've had since the day before. But by the end of the day, I say, I thought I'd improved. It plays mind games on you. It plays mind games. I see a question rolling by there where the red is. It's Tristan 471. What first made you decide to go carnivore? What's the trick to waking up well rested? It seems like despite getting full night's sleep, I wake up exhausted. Well, Tristan, unless you're recovering from a stroke, where you actually have to have your brain rewire itself, if you start carnivore, you have a period of getting yourself fat adapted. I don't know what your life was like before and whether you're a strict carnivore, whether you ramped into it or you went cold turkey. But I can tell you that for the first week or two, maybe 3, maybe a month, it's not unusual when your body's so used to running on sugar for it to get used to the fact that sugar is now a thing of the past. But it's an individual thing. All I can tell you is time takes care of that. It takes some people months. Most people who start never make it because they never can get through that period. I know. I'm going through a diminished version of that adaptation right now, getting refat adapted, and hopefully it'll take less than a week because I spent so many years eating no sugar. But that is not true for most people, especially in this country, who have been primarily sugar burners for most of their life, that there's a lot of pathways in every cell that I have to kind of figure out how to get back to doing what they're supposed to do. Like anything else, we forget when things go unused. So that was a question from Tristan at 9:52, but she checked in first at 9:32. So I got to that. We'll probably get to it again later, but I saw it go by and I wanted to address it. Aaron is thanking everybody for the birthday wishes, and now we've got everybody saying hi to everybody. Melissa B is here. How you doing, Melissa? Aaron says she's 40. Well, that's a milestone. That's a milestone. I am almost twice your age. Oh, that makes me feel even older. Ernie, good morning, Ernie Earnhardt. He says, good morning to Mitch and company. Everybody's still saying happy birthday to Aaron. My phone just made a dinging noise. Let's see what, anything important? No, nothing important. Okay. Coincidence, though, was an email from a business customer of ours for the computer stuff I do, and her first name is Aaron as well. So what are the odds? What are the odds that there'd be two Aarons, even though one of them has nothing to do with this channel, communicating with me at any given time? Wow, Aaron, you're getting a lot of play in the chat here. They're keeping you busy, thanking everybody. And Mike Silly Sr. chimed in from Melbourne. Hi, Mike, how you doing? Just so you know, Mike, I did get the credit for that Amazon return that you did for me within about an hour after you dropped it off. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And I can always count on Wang for a question. Wang Ling. What do you think of the people who go on sugar diets? They're losing weight and claim to be building muscles. They mix sugar with water and drink it. Good for them. Good for them. What do I think of them? I don't know them. I don't know anything about them. I would imagine the only lunatic or moron that would fall for a video that says just drink sugar and water and you'll be great would be children, youngsters, 20-year-olds, 25 tops. At that age, you can do anything you want. And yes, sugar gives you quicker energy, which is why most marathon runners carb load and then continually eat carbs throughout the whole of a marathon. If we could go forward in time to these same lunatics and morons who are professing, well, it worked for me, but I'm 18, to a 55 or 60-year-old who's done that all their life, I think we would not find them. I don't think we'd find them because they would have died of diabetes probably 10 or 20 years before. So if you're investigating that, Huang, or you're even thinking there's some validity to that, what do I think about it? I just told you. I think it's you'd be a moron. You'd be a moron. There's no nutrition in sugar. No nutrition, no amino acids, no vitamins, no minerals, no nothing. It is pure energy. So it's not surprising that you can get energy from it, but it's energy that you just burn right up. And then you're stuck with all the bad things that sugar does to you. The fact that it glycates your lipoproteins. It gloms onto everything. It causes your insulin to spike. Who the hell who knows about the bad effects of sugar would want to do that to themselves on purpose. I can see maybe add sugar to something that's got some nutrition, but to just go for the sugar, got to be a young kid who just wants to build up muscles to make themselves more attractive and increase the odds that you get laid. And that might be the only good thing that comes out of that, or maybe not. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. I like reading chat. Sammy Schiffer said, is that a new cup? Yes, it is. Did you miss the story, the backstory on this cup? If you did, and maybe some of you don't know it, I will tell you that on the day I had my stroke, this cup appeared in the post office, and I have a P.O. box so that people can send me things. I got a notice on my cell phone. You have mail, a package in your P.O. box. Well, unfortunately, I had just been ambulanced to the hospital. Fast forward to a couple of days ago when I took the first drive in my car, and the mission was get to the post office after 2 months and pick up the package that I had. I didn't know what it was. I kind of thought it might be a coffee cup, but Robert Morris, who sent it to me, didn't tell me what it was. And I didn't want the post office to think it was abandoned and send it back. So I went to the post office and made a video. And coming out of the post office, I carried this little box. And in the box was this cup. And I love the cup. It's a great cup. Again, if at first you don't succeed, try doing what Mitch told you to do in the first place. I love it. I love it. So that's the story about the cup. Rick, thank you, Rick. That's flattering. Rick says, I'm getting things done. Rick says he might be the only person who has no addictions. Oh, Rick. Rick. It all depends on whether you consider collecting things, affectionately known as hoarding, as an addiction. So let's qualify that, Rick. Or a fascination with ducks. You may have no food addictions. And that's entirely possible. Entirely possible. Looking for questions. Marla Kelly's here, said, good morning to all. Tammy, how are you, sweetheart? I knew in my heart that you dropped that darn ice cream machine and Burris. Yeah. You were right, but, you have to sometimes experiment on yourself. Nick Norwitz, young guy, great shape, he's constantly doing. And even some of these older doctors, I ate 10 sticks of butter a day for 30 days, and this happened. So many people use themselves as guinea pigs. Sometimes you have to. I've always been very careful not to do that because the actual outcome of it is something that I feared that I didn't. I'm still an addict. I didn't want to risk it. Like Nick Norris, for example, when he ate a sleeve of Oreo cookies every day for 2 weeks to prove that that's the most effective way to lower LDL. And he proved it. And published a real legitimate study proving it, that Oreo cookies will lower your LDL, and I won't use the word cholesterol. I will call it what it is, LDL, low-density lipoprotein, by 3 times as much as a statin would. And he proved that. Not only did he prove it, but it also proved out the lipid energy model from Dave Feldman. and ignorance in those guys. And the lipid energy model basically says that when you're burning fat primarily, that fat has to be transported in your bloodstream to every cell in your body. And the mechanism used to transport fat is a low-density lipoprotein. If your lipoproteins, low-density lipoproteins in lean mass people, didn't go up, that would be more of a clue that there was something wrong with you than the actual high number that your LDL finally settles at. By eating carbs, what happens is you revert back to burning sugar. When you're burning sugar, the Randall cycle will not accept the fat into your cell. Therefore, no need to be transporting copious amounts of fat around in your bloodstream. And since fat can't be transported in the bloodstream unless it's contained in a low-density lipoprotein or any lipoprotein, there's no need for the body to produce them, and your LDL goes down. Has nothing to do with your health. It has to do pretty much the same thing as FedEx probably needs fewer trucks on the street on Sunday. Do you understand what I mean? Although anymore, there are no days off, but when businesses and everybody used to close on Sunday, and mail and packages weren't delivered on Sunday, you would not find a lot of FedEx trucks on the street. Why would they? There's nothing to deliver. On the other hand, on the day before Christmas, there's 3 times as many FedEx trucks on the street. The number of FedEx trucks is determined by the load of cargo that has to be delivered, and that's what the lipid energy model says. Then the amount of LDL is dependent on the body's needs to metabolize fat so that the fat has to get to all the cells. It's that simple an analogy, and it makes so much sense. And all these studies, these new ones, that the younger guys, the guys that aren't obligated to the drug companies, whose livings and reputations don't revolve around the old paradigm of LDL bad, sugar good. They're doing these studies, and thank God for YouTube and the internet, or we never hear about them, because you very rarely ever hear about them, if ever, on the national news or national media, which is basically our version of Pravda on steroids. How'd I get there? All right, Huang Ling. Huang Ling is evidently just getting started and about to get the award for asking me the most questions. What about no sugar added ice cream at the store? Are they okay? No, they're not okay. Not okay. Eat meat. If you don't want to be a carnivore, that's okay. You cannot go to the store and buy artificially sweetened anything. It's poison. It will trigger your addictions, and the next you'll eat too much of it, and it'll make you sick. Forget artificial sweeteners, even the ones that are supposed to be so good for you. Allulose, stevia. You'll never, if you're a carb addict, you will never cure it until you stop triggering it with sweet-tasting things. And there's a scientific reason for that, and I've talked about it many, many times, and it's called the cephalic phase response. We have taste buds designed to detect sugar. That gives us the perception of sweetness. It's there for a reason. It's not there for our pleasure. It evolved for a physiological reason, not to make us think we're having a treat. That association came in much later. It detects sugar for one purpose, so the body can get ready to metabolize it, to handle it. Since sugar is water soluble and the blood is water based, sugar can dissolve in the blood, and the blood takes the sugar to every cell. That's not true with fat. Fat does not dissolve in water. So we have lipoproteins to carry the fat in the bloodstream, isolated from the blood itself, because they're inside the lipoprotein, which itself is water soluble, like the FedEx truck carrying the cargo over the highway. The cephalic purpose of the cephalic phase response is that when we eat sugar, it digests rapidly. It gets into the bloodstream and the blood sugar level rises rapidly. Blood sugar has to be tightly controlled, or we have two different ways it can kill us. Too much blood sugar or too little, hyper and hypoglycemia. So we want to know far enough in advance of the blood sugar taking huge swings if we need to get ready to handle it. And the way we handle it is with insulin. Insulin pretty much says to the cells, take sugar out of the blood, effectively lowering our blood sugar. So the sensory organs on our tongue, the taste buds, say, warning, warning, ding, 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 sugar coming, ding, 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 get ready, get ready. The pancreas says, it's like a firehouse. The alarms go off and the firemen come sliding down the poles, getting into the fire truck because somebody saw some smoke. May not have even been a fire. The pancreas makes insulin, and that insulin gets preloaded or injected into the bloodstream. The effect of this insulin, rise in insulin in the bloodstream, is intended to start taking sugar out of the bloodstream, and also to signal our fat cells that since most of that extra sugar is going to be made into fat, that the fat cells can expect fat to come along. That's called storage mode. And it will not let the fat cells give up any of their fat. We haven't, remember, this all happens before we even eat any sugar. Now what happens? Now what happens? We've gotten all ready for the sugar. We dispatched the insulin to get the cells ready to start pulling sugar out of the bloodstream. We've told the fat cells, get ready for some fat coming. Don't release any fat. But what are we doing in the process in the meantime? We're trying to be carnivores. We're trying to burn fat. So by eating that artificially sweetened food, we're hurting ourselves on two fronts. Two fronts. First, we've lowered our blood sugar, but the sugar never comes. A false alarm. We've teased ourselves. We promised sugar. We've gotten ready for sugar. And where the hell's the sugar? We've just taken what sugar we had in our blood and crammed it into our cells so we could burn it. Now our blood sugar is plummeting. Alarm bells go off, and if subconscious mind says, holy shit, we're headed towards hypoglycemia. If we don't get some sugar in here, we've gotten ready for it. We started all of the processes to digest it, and now in some cruel joke, there's no sugar and we're going to die of hypoglycemia and pass out. And that's when you get cravings for sugar like you've never had. And that's why they tell you that all that diet food does with sugar substitutes is make you crave sugar. And that's the reason. That's one thing it does to us. The second thing it does to us is we're trying to set our bodies up to use fats for energy. The fats come out of the fat cells, which is why you lose weight on a carnivore diet or you optimize your weight. Well, what have we just told the fat cells with all that insulin? We've said, hang on to what you got. There's more coming. Do not let fat out. So not only have we told our bodies that we need sugar or we'll die, but we pretty well said to the body, you need energy, but we're not going to let you burn the fat either. So we have double hacked nature by trying to fool it. And you know the old, if you're old enough like me to remember Mother Nature, she used to go, don't fool Mother Nature. And that's what artificial sweeteners do. Cephalic phase response. You think you can hang on to the pleasure of eating all the junk we eat now by eating artificially sweetened versions of it. I've been telling you for years that does not work. It will signal the end of your efforts and you're right back at the trough again with the pigs. So, Huang, don't do it. And even I fall for it. I thought I could try to make a little ice cream. No, all that just come roaring to a head. And I said, no, no, no. I didn't think it would work. It didn't work before it gets out of hand. Trash can, into the trash can, all of that crap goes. Period. Period. And even though you didn't put Q's in front of your question, I found that anyway, because I'm going fairly slow. I am, 9:44. I'm a half an hour behind. So what's new? So what's new? Oh, Steve Rogers. I think we are in Abbey Norrell. Yeah. That's a Young Frankenstein movie reference there. Michael Pregler's here. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Good to see you. And everybody's talking to Wang and giving him advice. And he's here again. Okay, I'll answer 3 or 4 of your questions every day. I can't answer them all at once. What about the no sugar attitude? You said, is that how bad is it? I have it about once a week. Well, that's why you're not losing. That's why you're not a carnivore yet. Nobody can tell you what to do, my friend. You have to decide for yourself. You don't have to be a carnivore. You can say, I'm keto, and I'll try to get by on less than 20 total grams of carbs a day. That's okay if that's what you want to do. But if you find yourself needing ice cream, then your addiction is controlling you. You won't miss it when you give it up. You don't need it. You get pleasure from it, of course. It's because your subconscious thinks you need sugar. But this business about putting fake food in your body, try to fool yourself into thinking you're getting satisfaction out of it, never ends well. Never ends well. More questions here. Where are we? I just start running a little bit faster to get through this. I have my physical therapy coming today. All right, here's a question. That's the one I answered before. Okay. I'm getting real efficient at this. Well, let's see. Kathy says sugar causes gum disease. I believe it does. I believe it does. I'll tell you, I'm going to do a video about it. I watched a video this morning about soy. Oh, it's great. Great. Something everybody should see. And I'm going to make a little video recommending it and talking about it. So I don't want to spoil it, but you can watch out for that. Peter chimed in here this morning. Hi, Peter. How are you? Peter's now saying hi to everybody. So I have to run through this. No cues, but an interesting point. Ernie Arnott says, why do so many bodybuilders die young? It's not just because of steroids. It's the food they eat and the stress they put on their heart. And I think one of the main reasons is that in order to show off, to be ripped, they have to try and maintain a basically unhealthy, deadly, and unreasonably low body fat percentage. It's not healthy. You need that body fat. So what happens is they end up probably metabolizing mostly sugar, eating no fat, and that's a recipe for a health disaster. It's unnatural for human beings to be that ripped and have that 2%, 3% body fat. That body fat is be like driving your car around on empty all the time, praying you get to the next gas station, and then only putting in a quart to get to the next gas station, because having a little gas in your gas tank, this is contrary to what you're trying to achieve. Not normal. It's not normal. My opinion. My opinion. Oh, here's the first. Peter, I'm going to put this up there. I totally agree with you, man. Thank you. Mitch is the best. And here's just some questions. Michael Pregler, do triglycerides act the same? Act the same then they are encapsulated. When they, well, triglycerides are it's too long. If I had to say, what do triglycerides do? It would be too long for any one live stream. They're just a transportable collection of fat molecules. There are three fat molecules with a glycerin backbone, and they get transported by VLDL and LDL, but they don't really do anything other. They're just sitting in the truck waiting to be delivered. And when they get to where they're going, they're usually broken down into free fatty acids, and they're used in that form. Even, I'll tell you something interesting. Think about this. We store fat in our fat cells as triglycerides. I don't know how this ever came about, and it seems like an awful lot of wasted effort. But a triglyceride cannot pass through the cell wall of a fat cell. So along comes a triglyceride in the bloodstream. It gets to the fat cell. It has to be converted first to free fatty acids. And then it can be taken into the fat cell through the receptors, and once inside the fat cell, it is reassembled into a triglyceride again. And first time I heard that, I said, that doesn't make any sense. But that's the way it works. So the conversion of triglycerides to free fatty acids constantly going on all over the body many times. And the poor triglycerides probably been taken apart and put back together many, many times. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but it's something that you might want to read up on because it's interesting. So my daughter's on the phone. I forgot to tell him I'm live streaming right now, but I'm okay. Forgot.
Okay, call me later. Bye.
All right, bye. Okay. I forget. I try to tell them that I'm okay, but it's good that come 10:30 they start worrying about me. That's my fault. My fault. That's the first morning I forgot to check in with them in 2 or 3 weeks, I think, since I started doing that. And what else we got here? Kingdom culture, what's wrong with ice cream? Let me count the ways. Let me count the ways. It depends on the ice cream. Are we talking about Kilsey's ice cream? It's just cream and milk and egg and no sugar and those very little flavor? Or are we talking about Haagen-Dazs Rocky Road? You decide. You decide. Piston 71, what kind of phone do you have? I have a Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. That's what I have. Kingdom Culture's asking. He didn't get the answer he wanted from me, so he's asking Rick if it's okay. I don't think Rick eats ice cream either. If you come to a place looking for permission to eat ice cream, I'll give you permission. You can do whatever you want. I will caution you that I don't believe it will end well if you're any kind of an addict, especially if you eat high sugar ice cream. I tried to eat the Kilsey version of ice cream, and even I found that even addictive. So I'm not going to do that either. Claudia Burkick said, hubby was an ice cream and chocolate addict and quit cold turkey for carnivore. Best decision we ever made. I've made the carnivore ice cream no sweeter only 2 times in 1 year. Perfect. Perfect. That's a slippery slope, the ice cream. Kathy, maybe if you went back to 3 carnivore meals a day, you would preserve or add to your body fat. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Nothing wrong with my body fat. I liked it where it was. I don't want to put on weight. So no, I'm going to eat 2 meals a day, and I eat a lot of food in my 2 meals. 2.5 pounds of food a day, which is perfectly fine. I got to a certain weight on carnivore and stayed there without varying a pound up or down for well over a year. I have to think that was my optimal weight, even though everybody said to me, you're too skinny, Mitch. Compared to what? According to who? Everybody's got an opinion about you. You can't tell somebody they're too something or other without comparing them to somebody else. Well, since everybody in this country is too fat, that's not a great comparison. And if you look at the movies from the 50s and 60s, especially the beach scenes, everybody is skinny. And today those same people would be called emaciated. That was normal. That was a human body finding its own optimal weight. And that's what carnivore does for you, in my opinion. Janet, can you be my handyman? How was that paper towel? I was doing fine. I don't think it's going to go anywhere now. But there was a little confusion about the paper towel holder, which I'll straighten out now, because inquiring minds want to know. First of all, that cabinet has a bottom panel, which is just like 1/4-inch plywood. It's not real substantial. Then it has the floor of the actual cabinet itself, which is much thicker and doesn't flex like that. And there's about 1.5 inches of space between them. So any screw that you screw up into the bottom never is long enough to get through to the floor above. But that piece of wood on the bottom is kind of flimsy, and the adhesive of that thing wouldn't stick to it. So I put 4 screws into it, and it still can move a little bit, but it's not falling down. Now, my plan, because I have to have a plan, my plan should, long term, not prove strong enough. In other words, if the screws start to loosen in there for some reason, then the alternative would be get just the right length screw to go through the flimsy bottom of the cabinet, past the space between, and maybe 3/8 of an inch into the actual floor above. If it doesn't work, I'll have to remount it that way, but I think this is going to be fine because there's not a lot of pressure on that. You just grab a paper towel off of it. We'll see. We'll see. But I wanted it over there next to the stove, near the stove, rather than way over near the refrigerator. So I did it. And the point of the video was to show you that 3 weeks ago, I could not have done that. Couldn't. Impossible for me with my right hand 3 weeks ago to do what I did with that drill yesterday, even though it was tiring. And I still had to rely on my left hand to do probably the brunt of it. We are at 10:27. I'm catching up here, looking for the any more questions. RFK, says Tanya, is on the news right now talking about sugar. Does anybody pay attention? Or do they still think he's a nutball? Man, 10:31, 4 minutes behind. Jeff Strezlak, it's great to see you doing so well. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be doing well. And I may run another errand this afternoon in my car. When I left the hospital, the rehab hospital, I borrowed a walker from them. They were supposed to arrange for me to have one at home. It got lost somewhere in the process. I never got one. So I said to them, I need a walker because when I get home, I got to get from the car to the house. So they loaned me a cheap walker, the kind that you buy on Amazon for $35. And it has a big tag on it and says it's the property of them. And they said, bring it back to us. Well, I left there 5-6 weeks ago. And I think getting the walker back to them would have been ridiculous if I had to get somebody to drive me. But I think today I'll call them on the phone and I'll say, I'll call you when I get there. Send somebody out to get it out of my car. That way I won't have to even get out of the car. If they won't send somebody out, they'll let them. They come get the walker. But I think they'll send somebody out to get it. And I'll take a little drive. It's about 6 miles, 7 miles from my house. But I want to get rid of the thing. I got a house full of walkers and wheelchairs, and I like to reduce my inventory a little bit now. I'm not using it anymore. I just fold it up and put it away. So that would be interesting. Sherry, Love and Light from California. Good to see you, sweetie. Thanks for coming by. Thanks. Good to see you. And Sherry's now saying hi to everybody. And she said hi to Peter. And that is the bottom of the chat. Everybody's saying hi to Sherry. So I'll tell you what, I've got my therapist coming shortly, and I'm going to end this now and get ready for him. When we will see you tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for my birthday celebration. I will be putting links, StreamYard links, from time to time in the chat and encouraging people, other than the usual regulars from my private community live stream, to come in and meet me and meet everybody else. Looking forward to it. For the past 2 videos I put out, I put 78 years old because I don't want anybody to think that I'm 2 days from being 78 and still claiming to be 77. I haven't been 77 for 363 days now. So I'm finishing my 78th year tomorrow, officially. I'm 78 years old, starting on my 79th year. Always a little confusion about that. But think about it this way. The first year of your life, you're 0 years old until you make it to your first birthday. When you have your first birthday, the next day, you're starting your second year. Your birthday comes when you've achieved the full year. So, as of tomorrow, I've managed to stay alive, keep on kicking for 78 complete and full years. So let's give us a little bit of happy music. Say goodbye in the chat to all your friends. And get your birthday hats out. And I hope to see all of you and many more here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Jamet says, bye, Mitch. And Mitch, let's see you tomorrow. Claudia Burkick likes the music. Lori likes the music. Sherry Morgan, we love you, Mitch. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. Peter saying bye. Tanya saying bye. 78, looking great, she says. Thanks, Brian. Have a great day, Claudia says. Jeff's just like, have a great day. Ernie, happy birthday, Mitch. Sandy Blythe says, goodbye, all. Laurie says, I always say I'm starting the next year. Aunt B. Hi, Aunt B. I didn't see you there. Bye, everyone, she said. Smoothie, you're doing great, old guy carnivore. For an old fart. Yep. I will not deny I am the epitome of an old fart. Mike Silly says, have a good day, y'all. Alyssa says, bye, all. Denise Regona, have a sensational day, Mitchell. Retired Rick says goodbye. Dan B saying goodbye to everybody. And I'll say goodbye while we wait for the music to end. Here it goes. Yes, sir. So, my friends, thank you all for coming. Take the rest of the day off. See you tomorrow night. and most importantly, eat meat.